you're waiting to have all the answers before you step into a bigger leadership role, you're actually disqualifying yourself from being the leader your team needs most. Hi, welcome to A Leader's Purpose podcast. My name is Tami. I'm so excited that you're here. And I wanted to talk to you. Before I dive in, let me tell you a couple things that's happened. One, this is not the first time I've recorded this podcast. I actually got almost through my notes and the whole tech just crashed. I was able to get some of the audio and it was so terrible that I'm like, okay, I've got to redo it. I can't actually play any of this. And so if it sounds like I'm trying to remember what I said, yeah, that's what I'm doing. But I also know that, well, there's a reason things happen. It's a Sunday. I don't typically record on a Sunday. And yet today I felt the need to, and I set a boundary, set a goal for myself. I don't typically work a lot on Sundays, but it's my catch up. Like if I need to just fix something or do something. And so at the end of this year, at the end of 2025, I actually told myself, and I have it in one of my goals, is no work on Sunday. There's a little caveat that I had in parentheses, which made me laugh because I didn't know why I put it there. But then today I'm like, oh, now I know why. I haven't been able to every Sunday completely get away from like all the little things of work, but majority of the time I've been able to, well, step away from work, have the true Sabbath, but you got other life things doing. But the little caveat was, unless I'm called to speak, and so I was like, well, I am recording a podcast, so it kind of fits in there, and it just made me laugh because I just feel like as I was driving home, I was like, this is something that I needed to hear for myself. This is something that I needed to remind myself. And I was like, there's so many times as leaders, we need that reassurance that we're not expected to know all the answers. We're not expected to be the smartest in the room. And let's face it, like we aren't the smartest people in the room. Except for the time we give that 17-year-old who they know everything. But the thing is that we don't need to be the smartest person in the room. In order to be a good leader, we just need to embrace the fact that we're not the smartest people in the room. In fact, our role is not even to have all the answers. It's to have really good people who know what we don't know. And so how did this come about? Excuse me. Sorry. I'm already a little flustered from trying to do this and then stopping and having to do it over again. But here, gather my thoughts. A little grace here. I am so grateful that you are here and giving me grace for this. Because again, I don't have all the answers either. I don't know how all the text stuff works. But how this came about is I was listening. I was overhearing a conversation. And one of the things that they said is like, well, when this happens, when I get this, I will do that. How many times do we get stuck in that rut? That when we have all the answers, when we know the way things are going to go, when we win, and it just stops us from taking action. The thing is that, like, when's the last time that we had all the answers? When's the last time we knew exactly what was going to happen from start to finish? We knew the outcome. We knew who was going to do what. I don't know about you, but in my life, it rarely happens. There's not many times that it happens exactly as planned. I get the exact outcome that I'm expecting. A lot of times it's a good thing. A lot of times I actually get a better outcome than I expected or different. And I'm like, I see what you did there. But the thing is that we don't know all the answers. So if we wait to have it all together, to have all the answers before we lead, before we step into this next identity that God's called us to, we're disqualifying ourselves in the moment because you learn as you go. And so I wanted to talk about like the three things that we really need as a leader. The first is we get to embrace that we don't have all the answers. Like we don't have to pretend like we know all the answers. We don't have to be fearful that when we step into the room that we're expected to know all the answers, because your people know that you're new. You don't have all the answers. And one of the story that I told, and I'll tell it to you here again, because you didn't get to hear the first time I recorded this, but when I was 27, 28, I stepped in, I got offered my first flight commander job. So here I was, short, blonde, like, and, little, like petite. And I'm walking into this room, and let me tell you what I knew about this flight that I was about to take over. And I came from a project management standpoint. I've done a lot of cool things. I got to experience a lot of things. I learned a lot about what it meant to be a communications project manager. So a lot of the terms, a lot of the equipment I was familiar with, but I was stepping into a comm maintenance role. This is the boots on the ground. This is the people who turned the wrenches and made the comm equipment work, for everything from satellites to radios to telephone switches and everything in between. These are the cable dogs. These are the people who were making the large equipment, the air traffic control equipment, work. And here's the things that I knew is I knew that they had just failed their last inspection. And I'm not talking about like, oh, they did okay. Like, no, they failed their last inspection. And you can imagine when your comm equipment, when your air traffic control equipment loses its accreditation, bad things happen. You're on an Air Force base. We were actually on a Air Force pilot training base, which means that it's more, we had a more active runway than a traditional Air Force base, than a regular Air Force base. We had 24/7 ops. There was constantly planes going off the ground. And if you don't have air traffic control equipment, you don't get to fly. So that was not actually a possibility. Like, we could not lose our accreditation. And I was stepping in at a time that's like, okay, like, you have 30 days to get your act together. The other thing that I knew, and I know that some of my people and their spouses listen to this podcast, so they're going to laugh at this because they know it's true, is this flight was known as the Animal House. What did I get myself into? My first command, I went from, being a project management officer to an executive officer. So I was kind of managing and making sure everyone got what they needed. And here I did step into this new role where I've got about 65 people under me who all know more than me. I don't know how air traffic control equipment works. I just know what it needs to do, and I know that what it's used for. And so here I go in, and they're called the Animal House, and I was like, what did I get myself into? I knew that I didn't know all the answers. In fact, I didn't even know what I didn't know at that point. That flight command position, I'll tell you, and it was one of my favorite jobs in the Air Force. And part of this was because when I walked in, one is I did not come in as the officer in the room knowing everything and being like, okay, you guys, failed the inspections and I'm going to clean house. And because that's not what they needed. One is they knew I didn't know much about what they did. And in fact, that was part of the problem that they were experiencing, because they realized that not anyone on the base truly knew what they were up against. Not to go into too much, but they didn't have the materials that they needed. They worked with a lot of other officers who would just tell our young airmen to leave when that was not their place. They can't leave. They're there for you. And they had a job to do. And these young officers would tell them, you're bothering me, or you're messing up my job. You need to come back. There's a lot going on. But by walking into this room, realizing I didn't have all the answers, that was step one to becoming a good leader. I didn't even need to know all the answers, but I knew that everyone in that room had the answers that were needed. The next is be willing to listen. So the one thing I did is knowing that I very green in this area and we don't have a lot of time, I found who the lowest ranking person was in the room. In the building. And I went and I sat with them. And I was like, okay, so tell me what you're doing. And he was sitting on the floor with multiple tech manuals. So these are big, thick binders, black and white, with all the tech, like the worst instruction manuals in the world, like the biggest and most detailed. And he was tasked with updating them. They haven't been updated in like at least 5 to 10 years. And this is a matter of like going line by line and taking a black Sharpie and then writing in the new information. Now, again, remember, this is prior to, this is the early 2000s. So we have come a long way, but a lot of the stuff can't be digitized. It's because it's classified, because it is all done on paper. And so I had him teach me how to do that. And so I was just listening to some of the things that he was struggling with, because this is also one area that we did really poorly on. None of our tech manuals were updated. So I knew also, like, okay, well, we only have a month to do this. Like, this will be great to help. So I didn't have all the answers, but I was willing to listen. I allowed them to teach me. And so I went from shop to shop and like, okay, what do you need from me? And I modeled curiosity over certainty. So we don't need to have all the answers. We got to be willing to listen, and we got to model curiosity over certainty. They didn't need me to come in and just bark orders. And in fact, that's part of the reason why they failed the last one, is their last leader. That's what he did. He just said, this is what and he was more worried about how he looked, which, karma, because in turn his flight failed. And so how did you look at as a leader? But he didn't care about the people. As a leader, one of the things that one of my mentors told me is, if you take care of the people will take care of the work. And so I went in and modeled curiosity over certainty. Why are we doing it this way? How can I help? And the thing is that I realized that these individuals, if you look on paper, this animal house, if you look on paper, they looked really lazy. They looked like they hadn't done things in years. They weren't up to code. They were failing every aspect. And when I really sat down with them, I realized that they weren't lazy at all. They were actually some of the hardest working gentlemen and ladies that I've known in my entire life to this day. And they weren't listened to. They weren't given the tools. They weren't given where the building was. It's actually way in the back corner of the base. So people don't even, the leadership didn't even come out there. The other boss didn't even have his office in the same building as them, would just make a phone call and, tell them what they needed to do or what's going on, or an email, and then they would leave. So the first thing I did is I put my office in that same building, because how can I lead people that I'm not with? How can I lead people that I don't know? And so I saw that. And the other thing is, they weren't appreciated. I don't need to know everything to start appreciating the people that worked with me. And how I could show appreciation is by showing up when they were there. We had teams 24/7. So obviously I couldn't work 24/7, but I would, I would come in the morning, get my morning stuff done. Then I was like, hey, I've got to cut out. I'm going to go get a couple hours of sleep, and I'm going to be back for the next shift. And I would do a couple hours with the next shift. And then I would say, okay, third shift, I will take a couple, I'll be back, and I will, and I did that for, at least once a week. I tried to make sure that I hit every shift. So I met every person, heard their stories. What do you need? How can we get this? None of this showed that I knew what I was doing, or that I had it all together, or that I had all the answers for what would help us. But I was willing to step down and see what I didn't know. And this is really what I wanted to share today, because so many times we have these new positions. We have these new jobs, new promotion, yay. And we go and we want to walk in, we want to make a good impression. And so we have this thought of, well, I can't let them know that I have no idea what we're doing. The thing is that if you want to be a good leader, you need to have people to lead. If you want to be a good leader, you bring and you develop the people that work with you. You don't bark orders at them. That's not how to lead people. That's managing people. That's, being rude to people. There are times, yes, you need to be assertive, but you build that trust in there. And then when it's times that you need to be assertive, they're like, I got you, boss. We'll take care of it. Now, to close the loop, that our flight, we stopped to be known as the animal house. We actually not only passed our inspection, we did really well. And then the following inspection, because when you do fail it, they come back and do a random inspection. And we did so well in that one that we were off the list, the bad list. And then our flight started to get a better reputation. People started working together with us. I kind of, I stood up for them in other areas. And I'm like, okay, well, no, like if there's something you need to do and someone tells you to stop, call me, I'll take care of it. But I was there for them because I modeled curiosity. What's going on? They knew I didn't know what I was doing. But they also were like, okay, well, if she's willing to learn, I'm willing to teach her. And so we don't have to know what the next chapter looks like. We don't have to know, like, we don't need to see the whole staircase. The same principle applies to you, that we don't need to see the whole staircase. We just need to take the next step. And if you lead, realizing that and embracing that you don't have to have all the answers, that you're willing to listen, and that you model curiosity over certainty, I can almost guarantee that your people will rally beneath you and help you lead the way you need to lead, and help you help each other grow as a team. There's times that you have to clean house. I did end up cleaning some house, a couple months later, but that was based on my senior enlisted leadership there who've been there for years. But we didn't do that at the beginning, and we also gave them chances. We tried to mentor and model, and we tried to help them choose a different way. We didn't just come in and lay down the law. And so it's so much easier to walk into the room and say, like, what am I missing here? I don't know. Let's find out. When there's a question answer asked and you're like, I don't have the answer to that. Don't make up something. They know what it sounds like if you're just trying to blow smoke. But instead of saying, I don't know, or I think the answer is, say, I don't know, let's find out. Where can I find the answer? What do you need from me? What am I missing here? How can I support you? By stepping back off of your pedestal and giving yourself that privilege, that ability to learn what your people know. You don't need to know all the things. Your people know all the things. You get to know all the people. How much easier is it? Instead of learning I couldn't learn every type of satellite and where they all are in the world, and and every radio and phone, telephone, and air traffic control equipment, the DASR versus the RAPCON, or all the things. I couldn't know that, but you know what? I knew who knew those things, and then I learned them. I got to know them. I supported them, and they did take care of the job. And so here's 3 things. Like, what can we do? What can we model? Like, how, I love to give you a framework. I love to give you an action step, because information alone is not going to help you have the life you want. It's not going to help you shine your light. It's not going to help you become the leader that you are called to lead. So this framework, just really simple. It's ask. Accept that not knowing is not failure. It's data that you're not supposed to know. In fact, at the point that you're this high-level leader, you need to have really good people who know a lot more things than you do, so you can deal with the things that you basically clear the way so they can focus on the job, and you can focus on all of the other drama. So you can focus on all the paperwork. So you can make sure you manage the mission and let them do the day-to-day and turn the wrenches. But not knowing is just data, not failure. Seek input from people who see what you can't. There you go. Seek input from people who see what you can't. Your people know all the things. And if there's something that they don't know and they need to know, help them get the training to know it. But how much better is it as a leader to say, hey, like, let's walk together on this. How can I support you? Versus trying to come in and say, well, I got to do it this way. Not everyone expects you to have all the answers. And I know you're asking, like, but what if I make a wrong call? It's going to happen. But you know what? If you have that relationship with your people, if you can go and they know they can come to you, you're going to make way less calls, bad calls. They're also going to protect you. There's many times that I was like, well, I think this is it. And they're like, no, like, here's new information. And they would save my butt before I went in to brief the general. And so we were a team and we all played our role, and I was able to lead them and help them grow in their leadership as well. The same as you can with your people, because I know that this is not you're listening to this podcast because you want to grow as a leader. And then AS, and then the last one is keep moving while you're learning. Don't stop to try to figure it all out. Stay in motion. Bring people along with you, but keep growing yourself. Keep being intentional about your personal development, your self-care, leave your drama at home. And really, when you're take care of yourself so well that you're able to focus on whatever realm you're in at the moment, that you're able to focus on that. But keep moving while you're learning. Don't stop and wait till, well, when this and this and this is achieved, then I will. If I really want a promotion. I really want to take that next step, that leadership step, but I have to wait until this and this is done. No, learn it while you go. Learn it while you go. And so that's what I have for you. I appreciate you guys listening. Know that if you're ready to lead with clarity instead of confusion, if you're ready to model curiosity over certainty, and you're just like, okay, I want to step into this. I want to embody this new identity that I know deep in my heart that I'm called to do. Then let's book your leadership strategy call. TamiMarieCoaching.com/call, and let's chat. This is not just a sales call. This is you and I talking about your leadership challenges, and you will walk away with some next steps. Now, if you choose to work with me, that's great. We will create goals, we'll create a path, and we'll look to see what that is going to look like. But know that if you want to navigate uncertainty with confidence, a lot of times you just need to get it all out, bring it to light, and then have that next step instead of focusing on the end game. And that's what I can do for you. Also, if you're interested in having me come and speak to your team, do a workshop for your team. I do keynotes and I do workshops, and I have this new workshop series that's called the Aligned Leader. It's 3 parts. You can do one or you can do all 3 of them. And but it is really what you need to start stepping into and having a team that's aligned, to be in the leader that they need to be, that your organization needs, that you're capable of doing. And so if you're interested in learning about the Aligned Leader workshop series, click the link below or get on the strategy call and we'll talk about that. So either way, don't wait until you have all the answers to make the next step. Don't wait until everything is all figured out and you know what the end game is, or that you know everything before you start taking action. So it's not, asking for help or not knowing is not failure. It's actually growth, because now you can trust in your people. Seeking input from people who see what you can't, because they're doing the day-to-day work, and then keep moving while you're leading. Let them see that you're walking with them. You're walking with them. You're growing while they're growing. And if you're ready to dive more into that, get on my calendar and we'll talk. All right, friend. Again, thank you for sticking with me here. Thank you. I think this video, I think, is working a lot better. I'm looking to the side because my video is actually on the side where I'm looking front. So I just have my little notes in front of me, and then my camera. So, but I appreciate it. All right, friend, choose joy till joy chooses you. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.